Thank you. Good afternoon. We're going to discuss the SDG 8 perspective, which is about sustained, inclusive, sustainable growth, employment, and decent work. Each and every one of these words has a heavy meaning. We are after growth, and therefore we aim at increasing work, productivity, competitiveness, because these are the issues which are intended to supply resources so as to be able to improve the human condition. But the very same introduction has perhaps looked at a quote where growth is seen as an evil. And this is also perhaps part of the words of the Genesis, this obsession that we have with production, consumption, and ever-increasing growth may be a curse. Or is it a promise? Our policymakers, our politicians, always get elected on this promise of further growth, a better life, but there again, growth has never been known to be persistent. We've passed through decades of miserable growth to then recover again. So is it a tenuous promise? Or is it, after all, as many economists see it, the be-all and end-all of everything? Growth, from the perspective of human welfare resource development, may be the ultimate aim of our science. We're definitely not about money. We're after resources. But this is then the whole point. What are we discussing about? What is growth? To tell you the truth, there is no precise definition in the science about what growth is. We don't understand the nature, but even though we cannot do that, we try to measure it. Nevertheless, we try to understand where it will lead us, and this leads me to this paradigm that we have, or rather paradox, about the parable. How did Jesus feed the multitude? Was it by multiplying, or was it by better distributing, and people were able to feed themselves with the little that there was? Is it the multiplier effect, or is it a positive externality in terms of our science? We do not know, we do not understand. John says one way, Mark says another, so we are left with this dilemma. How shall we measure it? Well, we measure it very, very imperfectly. We look at the sum of wages and profits which were earned in our country. We assume that those wages went to the people. We assume that those profits somehow find themselves back to the people, and we divide it by the population. Between 11 and 15, we made remarkable progress, from 16,000 to 20,000 euro per capita, including elderly and children and so on. But we have also to put a context. Our household size has fallen. So we'll need more resources. We're sharing less because you need more resources when households are smaller. And our labor income share has fallen from 44 to 43% of the total. So it leads us to the next question, which is part of the goal. Is this growth sufficiently inclusive? And by this, I don't mean poverty. Poverty is another goal. By inclusive growth, I mean, is everybody working hard towards it? Or are some people excluded from working hard? And this is where we have some other number. We do have more people in work. Since 2001, the number of the population which is in employment has increased by 6%. Two-thirds of us are now somehow working, full part-time, but we are participating. We are also leading longer working life, especially when it comes to women. The most marked increases have happened in the case of women. For every 4 jobs that there were taken by women, only one additional job was taken by men. So over the past 5 years, there has been this important further contribution of women as well as foreign workers. As we know, we now have close to 23,000 foreign workers among us. The amount has trebled over a 5-year period. The interesting point is that there are the very low skills and the very high skills, the work that we don't want to do and the work that we cannot do. But then that is also a part of inclusion. However, of course, in spite of these trends, not all the news that we have about economy, about further participation, is positive, we still have the specter among us of low educational attainment. There are only 1/2 of the lower education attainers who are employed, as opposed to the 66% in general. And 1 in 5 youths apparently remain classified as early school leavers. There's another dimension to it. We might be working more, but we are not necessarily the richer for it, because now we have also an increasing risk of in-work poverty, which makes me doubly poor. You're taking my time, and you're not giving me enough consumption resources to make up for it. Can this go on forever? Can we sustain it? Productivity is improving. Each worker seems to be working more, 9%. Productivity per hour is also rising, okay? So we have overall more people working, but not working all those many more hours, mainly because of part-time and this precarious kind of work. What are the risks that we have? Over-reliance on certain sectors, excessive concentration on them, insufficient investment in those sectors which will give us multiplier effects whereby everyone can gain. Those are also quite missing. So what is a potential vision for Malta to develop in a way which is sustainable and inclusive? What Malta would I like to see for my 2 kids and for all the other kids who we should be caring about? First of all, we should start from the needs and aspirations of our population, because that is what the country really is. Then we can say we're going to cater for those needs in a way which makes Malta a lifestyle proposition. And by that, I mean attracting all that investment which is here because the country is good to work in and to make business with. And now we've made all this progress and we are now all richer. Perhaps as a country, we can now be more selective about which investment to attract and which investment to send elsewhere. Thank you.